It's for some reason the thing that feeds my soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the most basic answer I can give is you get those few minutes of just watching, and I love my crew so much.
You're listening to the AV-IT Amplifier. Each week, we'll feature voices and ideas that need to be amplified in the higher education and pro-AV IT communities. This show is brought to you by higheredav.com. And now here's your host, Ryan Gray.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning in again to the AV-IT Amplifier. As always, I am your host, and if it is Wednesday, your feed is refreshed with new content, and this week is no exception, and not by any, not for a lack of effort this time to make sure we did not miss an episode. So, without further ado, let me get you to today's awesome guest, Miss Brittany Grant. Brittany, would you please introduce yourself? Who are you, and what do you do?
So I am Brittany Grant, and I am currently at Ames Community College as an audiovisual specialist. And that's my full-time job, but my fun job is I get to be assistant stage manager at a local roadhouse. So
nice.
Where the passion lies right now.
Well, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for jumping in last minute, as there were a couple of people out there who big-timed the show a little and had to, and not to blame, I won't blame anyone or call them out here, but you know who you are. You know who, I'm just kidding. So, actually, I'm not kidding, but thank you for jumping on with us. So, you've been on the list to be a guest for a little while to talk about a couple of things in there, and I'm excited to dig into a couple things, but first question is, true or false, people who work at community colleges are better than people who work at universities because we actually care about students and they just care about tuition?
For those in our community, false. But for the broader spectrum, true.
Well done. Look at how diplomatic an answer you just gave. I gave you the chance to throw shade and you pulled back at the last second.
I did.
Okay. Well, I maintain that community colleges are where actual work is done and everybody else is just stealing money.
Maybe.
I'm just kidding about that, by the way, also. That's the same. I agree. So, but
it's what it feels like sometimes when you're watching things play out.
Yeah. Okay. So Ames Community College.
Yes.
Where is Ames Community College?
It is in northern Colorado, specifically Greeley, Colorado. We're about 60 miles north of Denver.
Cool. And what is Ames Community College kind of known for?
Well, we're very much growing. We have 5 campuses. Oh, I feel like I'm forgetting one. So our main campus is in Greeley, and then we have a few others that have very different courses that kind of go through that, and tracks. So like our CDL and agricultural stuff is more at our southern campus at Fort Lupton. And then we have our EMT firefighter and vehicles out at Windsor. And then Loveland, that specific building is in the historical district, so we don't get to do much out there. And it's a very, very small campus. But we do have an aviation program at the airport out there. And so we just acquired a second building for maintenance, but then pilots and everyone learn out of the older original building. And then we have our online. I think that's everyone.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
I kind of glossed over the online one, but that kind of has everything, but more specifically for people who are not currently on campuses.
And how far apart are all of those campuses?
The southern one is about 23 miles, I want to say. Mm-hmm. So a little bit further south. Takes about 45 minutes on a bad day.
And that's what I was going to say. So how would you describe the benefits and or challenges of supporting so many different, locations in a large geographic area?
Right. The nice thing is I'm mostly on the Greeley campus, and we mostly support there, but we have had quite a few things on different campuses, and it does stretch us a little thin at times because not every campus is equipped to do events, really. So it's more in classrooms, and we are very unique. my specific department doesn't touch classrooms for the 98% of it. So with that, it's just hard to bring things in and know exactly what you're walking into.
Yeah.
Excuse me. When I get really excited, I tend to get the hiccups. So as a forewarning, if I talk really fast, I'm going to get the hiccups, and it's going to be a great time.
Perfect. So then audiovisual specialist, it sounds like, and I know this, you focus on events, and when we've been at things together, like the gear you're excited about is usually like, oh, have you seen like this new thing in that realm? I'm like, yeah, great, but I don't do that many events anymore.
Yeah.
So the role you're in, what is it that you're thinking and working on a day in and day out basis?
So right now we just got wrapped up an external event that they came in and did their yearly meeting. And so it's just kind of making sure that the projectors were connecting well, that the audio is doing what it needs to do, and then making sure that the microphones are working as well as we can get them to work, be it human error or mechanical.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's just kind of making sure that all that goes, and if something goes down, having contingency plans in place, and then maintaining those when we're not running, which is a very small window sometimes.
Yeah, so the life of live events is the life I lived before coming into higher ed.
Yeah.
I worked in all live events before that, and so this is kind of a true or false. Like, well, my feeling about people who work live event is sort of like you have to live on the adrenaline of either the curtain going up, the door is opening, like it's time and all eyes are going to be on something. And if that adrenaline of that doesn't drive you, it will drive you crazy. Does that describe what your life is like?
A little bit, yeah. No, it's definitely those moments that I crave after, in a sense, if that's the right word to describe it, is definitely the ones where, like, just something happens where it's like the cameras hit the right spot, or the mic comes in at the right time, or something like that, where it looks really cool. And that's why I have my fun job, because I don't quite get that. This is more of the, like, you just make sure everything functions. And I don't get to have that stage manager, caller, show call kind of a job, which is fine. And it's definitely pushing me in a different direction and broadening my horizons, which is all great and fine. But it's not catching those, like, when the right thing all crescendos together and it just looks perfect and you get that little heart flutter. So, yeah, always chasing that.
Yeah, sometimes corporate-ish or education-ish events, sometimes people refer to as a show, but it's not really a show as actual shows, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Though sometimes people make the stakes of them kind of seem like that at times, don't they?
Yeah, I've definitely had more pressure in certain corporate situations than I have in National Broadway shows.
Nice. Good times.
Yeah.
So then are a lot of the events you're putting on in spaces that sort of have installed systems that you're trying to make work and that sort of thing? So what is that then? What is it like working with, or what's the relationship like with people who might be responsible for those systems or for designing and installing? What does that process look like there? Or are you just kind of like, hey, this is the stuff that got put in the room, so go make it work for us, please. Thank you.
So that's very much where we're at right now, and where I've been at pretty much my entire career at Ames, which can get a little heartbreaking at times, and just always feeling like you're chasing the rabbit that isn't actually there. So, and so we are putting up some new buildings here in the next couple months, it'll be years, but we're in the process of designing certain ones, and I am trying to be very hands-on with this one, because I wasn't able to in the last one. Kind of a unique one for me in my current position, as I was a student leader the year prior to getting hired on at the college. So I had the title of Vice President of Facilities and Operations for the Student Government Association. Trust me,
Nice.
shortening that means it takes just as long to say. But I was able to sit into all of the construction meetings, not knowing that I was going to be working in the building.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I paid attention. It was like, oh, this is cool. This is fun. This is a different side that I've ever worked in. Not realizing how much my life was going to be affected
Right.
by hearing all of this. So now it's not so much as a, this is fun, new, and shiny, as like, no, why did you design it this way?
Mm-hmm.
Why are there cans in front of screens, like projector screens? Why are can lights? And why are there no wall ports? Why did we pick these floor pockets in this diagram, like in this layout, then maybe how the room is actually going to be used? Like, and nothing on the designers, nothing on the things, but it's just trying to ask those questions of someone who's working in a not as ideal building as what everyone thinks it looks like.
Right.
So I think that kind of answered that question.
Yeah. Yeah. But so
so I'm very much just trying to deal with what's in there, but also trying to ask as many questions and see what we're trying to do moving forward on how to not repeat that in other buildings that may not be as academic, but have academics in them.
So now like moving forward, like you said, all right, you were involved in that way, not knowing, my full-time gig now is going to end up being that. So
Yeah.
what has the process been like then of trying to work into a construction process? So building processes are pretty structured. They run similarly everywhere. You have phases. We're in programming now, and then we're in this, and then you're in CD, we're in design development, and then you're in construction development and all of those things. So what has the experience like been trying to influence that process so far when it sounds like it hasn't been the norm for AV people to be involved in that previously?
I think they have. This is the welcome center where I'm normally at, and the big monster of a building, was kind of the biggest thing that the college has taken on, and kind of it houses all of our commencements. It does all the things, and so when we're able to have plated dinners, we have a catering kitchen, like kind of all these things that we've never had on campus prior. So this was kind of that big new horizons, opens the door to that. So no one really knew kind of what that looked like and just kind of looked at other spaces. And it's definitely a Frankenstein building for what the original people that were part of that conception. They wanted to do all the things, so now it kind of does nothing well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a little hard. And then I know that made it very hard on the programming side because nothing was quite finished, and certain people that were part of the project were no longer with the college up to a certain point, and so it just kind of turned into a lot of kind of a he said, she said, but also no one really understood what the actual dream of the building was going to be, and so then it just kind of turned into the Frankenstein monster.
Yeah.
It is. But that being said, moving forward into this one is just trying to be a voice of like, come look at what this building is and what are we going to do to not repeat that? So just trying to bring people in and be a voice for the actual use of the building, and not just, that's a very pretty designed building and it's got some very expensive tech inside.
Yeah.
What's the actual use case and how is that going to play out? So
in the past, it's been more architects and consultants that they bring on that's been driving that process a little bit.
I think so. And again, we've not done these type of buildings before.
Yeah.
And I think those that hadn't done them for a while.
Yeah.
So kind of lost the touch, so to speak.
Yeah.
Or the questions asked, or it was on such a scale, or we had such a committee to build it.
Yeah.
It was kind of, I think it was just too big of a team.
Well, I think like the sort of the description you have I think every person who in our, kind of in our world has that story or a similar one to it. And you can't get together with, higher ed tech people without talking about capital projects, renovations, and building projects and how they work. And for as standardized as sort of the process of it is supposed to be, the execution is still a very localized, personality driven sort of thing, I've found, right? People who are either in an inner circle or not, places where only like the president of the college basically makes all the decisions, or places that are very democratized and everybody's ideas go in, and then you can end up with something that doesn't do anything well for anybody because everybody got 1/15 of something that they wanted. So, I think that's an area that is a challenge kind of for all of us in this realm. So I know it's early in the process and you're kind of doing that, but so far, what advice would you have for somebody who maybe is seeing like they're hearing, oh yeah, well, there's a good news. There's this really cool building that's coming down the line. What advice would you have for somebody that's hearing that, given the experience you've had so far?
So far, be open to the possibilities, because like that's the new one that I'm currently assisting on and looking into all this new tech for is it basically uses every buzzword you can imagine. AR, VR, XR, holodeck, pitch room, innovation, again, every buzzword you can think of. So we're definitely scrambling to a certain extent on trying to figure out what's out there, because we're also, the programming side is very open to being cutting edge and maybe having things fail to a certain point. But then they also don't want a repeat of the Welcome Center.
Yeah.
And so then then it has to be very specific and things that have already been established. So it's like, you almost have to embrace one or the other to a certain point. But, and I think certain spaces are going to be really well thought out. And I think others might not be, but definitely try to put in the research and just give your best voice. And if they're open to listening to having a little peon sit at the table, then do that.
Did you just refer to yourself as the little peon?
In the rooms that I sit in right now, I very much feel like that.
Yeah.
Because everyone else has that director, VP, which is fine and great. And I am very new to this world of this. I'm 2 years in, but it's still very new to me, and I'm still learning and grasping at some of the straws that I think I know are there. But I'm not forever going to be a peon, but I'm okay being a peon right now.
Well, just remember that when this thing is built, you're the one they're all going to be coming to be like, but I need to do X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's not what this was built for. I'm just
reminding you. I guess you should have listened to me back when we were all around the table and you didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like there is. So are you? Yeah. Are you? Have you been keeping track of your "I told you so" so far? Things that you thought were a good idea that got taken out.
Not specifically, because we were just now getting in kind of that technical thing. We just did a trip out to a couple different places to look at some technology in use. One of them is going to work pretty well, I think. I think we're definitely moving forward on one of the bigger options. The other one was not quite what we thought we were walking into, and it was a very unique pitch, and it was a very unique layout. But it was not what any of us were expecting, so that made it a little hard to incorporate that into the dream and the project. So
cool.
I think we'll be going in different directions from that, but there are some different things and some people that I've already connected with at other expos and different things that might have better options for more of the basic thing, and then we can grow into the weird.
Nice. I like that. Like, so one of my questions coming up was that where like, is the work being centered around the idea of places, are you looking at places that you're emulating other things that are out there versus trying to pretend like, this will be my own bias of my own school, or pretending that, like Yavapai College is the only college that exists and we must reinvent every wheel, versus, we're looking around out there. So it sounds like there has been some commitment to finding examples at other places.
And I've seen at least, I've traveled to go see one of them. There's a couple other spaces that I'm hoping to go see. And I know you're one of your bigger projects has a little bit more of a jump than ours is, but I don't know that it'll be anywhere close to what me coming down to look at yours kind of a thing would help with this building. But potentially in the future, something to pivot into.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think that's good advice, and I love when schools are into that. But one thing that we've, around here, there's been a little, especially on some of our recent ones, a little less of that at the college level, though some of that is because there has been sort of from the president and the ELT level a pretty, we say clear vision, though I don't know if I would refer to it as vision other than a good directive. And it's helpful on a project. Agree with it or disagree with it. The why was very clear. Why are we destroying what has been our library and turning it into something totally different? Well, that question got answered, and that gave people a place to go. But I remember doing and we're doing 2 of these, a smaller one that just got done, and our second one is now 13 months out, what I'm saying? It's in framing right now. Right. So, but one of the things when we were working through the smaller one, and I'm talking with the people who are eventually like going to live there. And so we had a little presentation. All right, these are the spaces we're putting in. This is the AR VR room. This is what we're doing in huddle spaces. Here's your fast capture 1-button studio, your podcast studio setup. Here's the experimental classroom. And I went through, and we just sort of had like, okay, here are the concepts we're putting out there. And then the last slide was photos from schools of similar spaces that we had taken ourselves, right? And it had that feeling of like, these things we're bringing, we're not ahead of the game. We're following a thing here. Now we are trying to advance things one beyond, but why are we looking at this for this kind of area? Here's what we've seen in other places, and here was their feedback. So I won't monologue about it, but I think that's kind of I really like when schools and especially community colleges see that, right? Like, we don't have to be cutting edge. Let other people make the mistakes first, and then we just go and steal their ideas afterwards.
Use those ideas to build off and do something different.
Well, that's iterate on them is a better way of putting that. So Good job.
Do our own spin-off.
Nice, exactly. So before I move on to, because I want to talk about your fun job here, I know that there is a tie-in between the project we are working on and the project that you are working on, because what's that?
Potentially.
Well, so yes, but the tie-in exists because I had the privilege of getting to shake hands and meet the president of your college, because the presidents of your college and the president of my college are both part of the same federation where they are exploring and talking about technology futures and things like that. So that's where that connection kind of light bulb went off. I was like, oh yeah, no wonder she's having the same buzzwords conversations we're having. You know what I'm saying? That there was that connection already there.
Both the blossoms came from the same tree.
That's right. So you know what I'm saying?
Very much.
The partnership of the community college exists on a lot of levels, and it's fun when you can say like, oh yeah, Ames, oh yeah, I know this person and that person and that person, because we're as connected. I know college presidents think they're connected, but us tech people are as connected
we
more so.
We got to get in there
than anybody else.
I definitely talk Hema up a lot
That's right.
A lot of spaces. It's like, nope, this is where we should all be going. So
right, and we're not met like. So, and to close that out, right, we've got architects and consultants and other people involved in our projects, but we are all connected. Like, we're talking about our experiences with them. We have the backing of brothers and sisters from around the country as we go into these things. That's kind of fun.
And from much bigger institutions than our own that have done these things. So, and have seen them fail and win. Yeah.
Well, I like that. That's all of our job, right? Is to stand on the shoulders that came before us, make our best effort at it, and then do the same, then pass that on to the people that come behind, be it the learning or design or anything like that. So, okay. You made reference to your fun job, and you also mentioned that you referred to it at the beginning as the Roadhouse. So is this a place like the movie Roadhouse where bikers come by and you beat them up and stuff like that?
No,
or what's going on?
It is basically somewhere that is able to be like a pit stop for not pit stop's a bad thing. So it's like they come in and they do one show or two shows, and they're not there for really long sits. Like they would be at the bigger houses in probably Denver and
Right.
I know Fort Collins has had a few longer sets. But yeah, we're quick turn and burn, set up in the morning, do the show, tear down. You're looking at
Pack the truck, send them on their
2-hour
way.
days. Yeah. And then they're off and down the road 5 hours, sleep in the bus, turn around, turn and burn, do it again.
Yeah. I wonder how many we've had that you've had. We should compare notes because our performing arts center, we do a lot of the same people. They're doing like the casino circuit, and then there's these size venues around in pseudo rural areas. That,
no, that'd be really cool because I know we're definitely trying to get some different things than we ever have in the past.
Cool.
So
is that a private facility, a municipal thing? Is it a community thing?
Municipal.
It's municipal. Cool.
Yep.
So why then, if you have this job of supporting things at your school, do you sign up for more 22-hour days to do this on the side?
Because, I like you said, these are more established rooms here at the college and kind of things, where I'm used to basically building out a rig and doing those things. And it's, for some reason, the thing that feeds my soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the most basic answer I can give is you get those few minutes of just watching, and I love my crew so much, and we have been praised from beginning to end from so many different people that I don't feel bad about bragging about it.
Yeah.
Because it's like
Good.
we're a much smaller crew than a lot of people expect us to be, and so we don't fill out the numbers the way that they want us to, but we still get in, and we've gotten either really close to or breaking a lot of people's load in records.
Nice.
Load out records. So, and we can beat them by 5-10 minutes. Sometimes we just barely get it by.
Yeah.
But we've broken so many that with smaller crew that it's definitely been noticed. So
would you say the affinity there is the work or the people?
I'm gonna have to go with leadership on that one. So it's like my crew is as a whole is really good. But it is definitely the leadership that and empowers us and gives us the voice that we all learn to earn, and sometimes are booted into learning. So the current TD over there, I've known him for almost 20 years, and he let me sit as a go button on a lighting rig, and just hit go for about 7 years, and then he said, you can do more, and just basically made me do and shadow other people. So he is my godfather of a sense of the tech world. So, and still a mentor to this day.
So it sounds like you like an environment of like, not, particularly compliance by suppression, but like, it's not about what you can do today, but about what you can do in the future. And we're going to find opportunities for people to do it.
And give you the opportunity to fail, and to give you the opportunity to redeem yourself, but also give you the support to know that if they don't listen to me, my boss is going to be able to be like, nope, her word is what she said.
Yeah.
So.
And so,
whether I'm right or wrong. Better or for worse.
But that support makes a difference, right? So you referred to this person as a mentor, and I love it when people talk about that. So has that been like, no, this is a person who's given me an example to follow that makes you feel like a mentor?
Yeah, he's one of the original IT people who built out Banner, basically. And like when everyone was starting to do all the different things, he basically trained a lot of the early IT people all over the nation, which I think is kind of cool. But yeah, it's just knowing how much knowledge he has, and that pitched off a little piece of it.
Yeah.
And knowing that I'm going to learn from him until the day he dies.
And is it your plan to emulate those things and your continued and growing career?
Yeah, and definitely, emulate them, grow them, and just be the biggest badass I can be.
Yeah. Oh, you said that so timidly. You can't. It doesn't. It doesn't work to say that way.
It does.
I'm going to be the biggest I'm a badass. I'm such a.
I didn't know if I could say it or not, so I was like, "How do I find it out?" We're just going
No,
to
you're
it. And I was already.
Say whatever you want to, but yeah, I love it. That's
We
awesome.
can beep that out later.
I love it. Well, and it's so cool when you see a connection between somebody who, like you said, is set an example, invested in somebody, and they're just like, I can go be the best I can be because I have this thing to follow. Like, I don't know. That's, I just love that. That's the thing but trying to live up to every day. And you get to the end of the day and you're like, man, I don't think I really gave a good example for that person. I'll do it better tomorrow than I did today.
I can do better.
Yeah.
And so I've only learned really audio from him, and I'm just starting to learn some IT tricks from him. So
Cool.
I have a lot to learn because audio, I'm still just a baby in.
All right. Well, keep on going.
I will.
That's awesome. Well, Brittany, so for a half hour goes by fast, but I just love this. Like, it's so interesting, this place that you're in, sort of in the industry now, where you're sitting kind of on both ends of it, where on one hand, you're in construction, you know what I'm saying, that end of the industry that is built around architects, construction of spaces and that sort of thing, all the way to one day, one show in and out in front of an audience. That is the entire, it feels like the entire gamut of, sort of the audiovisual industry. So, bless you for doing it. That's awesome.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so if people wanted to get in touch with you, get connected to you in some way, how would they go about doing that?
So this is the first time I can say this. I am on LinkedIn.
Yay!
Brittany Grant. So Brittany Spears add a T.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, go find and get connected to Brittany on LinkedIn, and look forward to hearing in the future about this building, and maybe same thing. We got to do a dual campus visit, since I think we got some things going in common.
I think that would be great.
All
and
right.
maybe in January.
That's what we're talking about. All right. Good deal. So, Brittany, thank you so much for jumping in today and sharing so much about what you're working on.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the AV IT Amplifier. Tune in next week for more with today's guest. It'll be great, or your money back. Your host has been Ryan Gray. He's on the tweeters at Ryan_A_Gray, or find him on LinkedIn to connect. Please subscribe and give the show a rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. This show is brought to you by HigherEdAV.com. The views expressed here are not necessarily those of our respective institutions, employers, or sponsors. Everyone hang in there, go easy, and we'll be back next week.